The finish tapes on the bottom of the wing are all done. I got the ones down the wing spar. I got those set in there pretty good and cleaned up, and of course the ones over the ribs. And the last thing that I did was put these finish tapes over the leading edge and on the trailing edge back there on the false spars. This leading edge tape here looks pretty good. And the false bar here on the flap looks pretty good. The one for the aileron false bar, it's pretty good too, but it's stuck around here, and I've got it heat formed to come around the top of the wing, so I need to glue that down to finish that up. Otherwise that looks pretty good. And I got this butt rib all trimmed out pretty good. So we've got our finish tapes. The spar tapes come in and go underneath this tape on the butt rib, both top and the bottom, and the finish tape on this false bar comes around here, folds up, and it's finished up, and it's covered up with this finish tape on the butt rib here, so there's no ends exposed anywhere. Same here all along this. Here's the front, so we've got tapes along the spar come along here, come over, and then are covered up with this other tape. Same on the bottom, and finish tape on the nose comes around, is glued down here, and it's covered up and trimmed out with this one. I just finished this trimming out this butt rib here. So we just turned it over so I could work on the top a little bit. I need a little bit more poly brush on this top and clean up some of these drips and stuff that have come through that come over from the bottom. Otherwise it looks pretty good, except, oh, you know, that's alright. You just got to trim that, maybe a little bit of poly brush or clean up a little edge there. That's where it's cut, where there's a nut plate underneath there. So this all looks pretty good around here, except for down here. I screwed up down here on my wing tip. I've got that tip going around there, but I didn't have enough fabric coming around the tip to cover up this seam right here that I made around the tip bow. Oh, I marked the center line and was real careful and put the center line down the center of this wingtip bow, but I've got extra material that I came out for this glued seam between the top fabric and the bottom fabric, and that doesn't leave me enough on this finish tape to cover that up. So I've got to unglue this and redo it and put it so that I have more finish tape here on the top than on the bottom, so I make sure and cover up that seam. So that's a little bit of work. So two things to do is to finish gluing down this seam tape here on this aileron false bar, and then I've got to take this tape off of the wingtip and redo it. So I guess I better get busy at that. So I'll get a rag. Actually, I think I'll get some poly brush and go ahead and glue down that seam tape on the false bar first, and then I'll get some MEK and loosen up the glue on this one before it gets set up too hard. Do it over again. Either do it right or do it over. Well, I got that off of there. That wasn't too bad, because I didn't have it glued down on both sides. I only had it glued down on the bottom side, except where it was on the leading edge there. Then I had the whole thing glued down there. And that was the part that gave me the most pause, because I've got the finish tape on the leading edge comes all the way down the leading edge, and I had it overlapping this bias tape that come around the wingtip bow. I didn't want to stretch that fabric and get it stretched out of shape too bad, so I had to soak it with MEK and rub it in, get it loosened up, and gradually pull that finish tape off of there. So I didn't want to saturate it, I just want it in the fabric, because I don't want to go in and bust loose those other seams that are already there, those other finish tapes, and where this fabric is glued down to that wingtip bow. I don't want to jeopardize the integrity of those glue joints, so I had to be careful not to get too much MEK on there. Oh, I could try to salvage that piece of bias tape there and put it back on, but I'm not going to. It's not worth the hassle. We want everything to look nice, and that thing is all stretched out of shape now and got kinks in it and stuff like that. So I'll just cut a new piece of bias tape And the leading edge tape on there on the front where I pulled it back, I think I got it back pretty good. I don't think I stretched it out of shape any, and I can heat form that when I need to. So I think everything looks pretty good there now. Well, the next thing we're going to do after we get done with all the finish tapes and all of this stuff on here is then we got to start spraying it. And I've got an inflatable paint booth that I bought this winter, and I've got to make a place for it. So I'm going to haul some of that sand in, and the place that we filled last fall, and I got it all up and level. I'm going to bring in some sand and put a bed of sand down on there because there's all kinds of sharp rocks and stuff on that. And then we'll put a tarp down, and then we can put this inflatable paint booth out there. And I don't know how that's going to work out because this thing is not weatherproof. It's not meant for being outside, but I don't have any place inside to set it up. The forecast for the foreseeable future is rain, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But it's going to be a couple of days before I get ready to put that paint booth up. Still got some finish work to do on the wing, and I've got to haul several loads of sand out there and get it all spread out and get that base ready to lay that, put that paint booth out. All right, I'm going to try this again now and put this tape on here. I made my line here at 2.5 inches instead of 2 inches because I want more sticking over this top side than the bottom side on there. So that's going to be a reference, but I'm going to be able to see now where my seam is right here, where I glued the bottom fabric onto the top fabric. So I'll be able to adjust that as necessary for that. Well, I went ahead and cut shape on here. I'll go ahead and start gluing this on. I'll get the poly brush and start gluing this on. I'm going to go ahead and put my armor on first. Well, that should be better. I'm going to have a little bit of work on with the iron to clean up the wrinkles on here from pulling this leading edge tape back and maybe underneath there. Although it looks pretty good, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty good. Well, I've got this tape around here now where it overlaps the seam, covers that up pretty good. I'll be able to turn that wing over and finish it up on the other side. Right now I'm going to wait for all of this to flash off. I put a second coat on the leading edge finishing tape, and then I glued up the top side of the finishing tape on the aileron false bar. I just put a second coat on it, and then I've got all of this fumes from this poly brush here from putting this tape on. So I'm going to take a break for a while, maybe go get a load of sand or so. It's 5 o'clock. I've still got time to get one load, and that one more load will finish out what I need for my base on my mound for my drain system, septic system. So and then this stuff will flash off, and then after dinner tonight I'll come back up here and work on it again.